What's up, guys? It is Gray, aka the Kagura, and we're back with more My Hero. Once again, there was no Ruby this week because Texas is going through kind of a thing right now. So, understandably, the team is taking some time off so they can, be alive. That's all. Everyone hope for the good, recovery of everyone in Texas. Okay. Now, without somber news out of the way, we have My Hero with more somber news. it's it's sad. It's not great. It's really not great because people were like, "Oh, this makes Endeavor seem like a decent person. I want my Endeavor to abuse people." Ask and you shall receive because boy, Endeavor is yeah, now he is really season 1 up in this chapter. I'll tell you that much. And we actually see it because we'll talk about that at the end. But like there's some really cool art stuff that Hori. I mean, obviously Hori's like in my opinion, a genius when it comes to this kind of thing. But he does some cool stuff here. Basically, they starts off. They're talking about Toya, of course. He's like, I'm too busy. I can't look after him. But, like, you need to make sure you watch him. He can't be training because he's gonna hurt himself. And he's like, he just wants you to notice him. And he's like, well, I can't. All I notice is the world of heroes. He's like, heroes, aren't you running away? Once again, we get some cool Endeavor stuff. We see a young. I'm so sorry about the creeping black back here. For some reason, it's not a day. Oh, there we go. That's because my only light source is from over here. The green screen is unhappy. I keep telling myself I'm gonna buy a lamp and then I forget. So you know what? 100 subs, I'll buy a lamp, free. So subscribe if you haven't. I like the video while you're here. We see a young Fuyumi and Natsuo. Also, Natsuo's for 8 years old. My man's a giant. Like, good lord, that's Fuyumi. She's 12. And then we see oh, you guys might not be able to, I don't know how I'm gonna do this. Oh, there we go. There's Toya gaming, or at least on like the internet. I like to think gaming because we'll see why. We see Shoto doing the thing where he's like, I want to play with my siblings, and they're like, you can't. They're living a different world than you. And then you see like Toya being upsetty. He's talking to Natsuo about it, and he's like, can you talk about Fuyumi do it? And he kind of freaks out a little bit. He like goes to leave to train on the mountain, and Ray stops him, his mom, and she's like, hey, do you want to be a hero? And he like calls her out. She calls him out basically that he doesn't want to actually be a hero. He just wants his dad to notice him at all. He wants to be on the same pedestal that Endeavor puts Shoto. So he just wants the same attention. And he's been so brainwashed, the only way for him to do that is to become a hero. And she basically calls him out on it. He's like, what do you know, Mom? He has a gamer moment, which is what I like to call it. Yeah. Where does he say it? Hold on. He like says some. Oh, the women in this house are good for nothing. He says it in this panel right here. So a lot of people are like, oh, surprise, surprise, the villain hates women. I don't know if he hates women. It's just kind of funny that he's like 13 and he's like, God, women are useless. He's an incel. Surprise, surprise, Dobby's an incel. Who knew? He's like, he basically calls her out. He calls her out that she's guilty, that she doesn't help or do anything. Toya is training in the place he always goes, the mountain. He's 13. He's like, man, I upgraded my powers. I can make him blue, which is important. He's like, I don't know why he starts crying when he gets worked up. So he's happy and he's crying, which is interesting because we've seen Dobby appear to be happy before, but start crying. There's a lot to unpack here. This chapter gives a lot of insight into Dobby, like a ton. He's like, hey, come up to, I'm going to, he tells Endeavor, he's like, hey, I want you to come up to the mountain. I have something cool to show you. Endeavor sees the burns, and he's like, and then Toya starts kind of freaking out. He's like, hey, it's going to be super cool. It's like, come and see. It might be as cool as Shoto. You'll be glad you created me. Like, what a sad line from a child to say to their parent. You'll be glad you created me. That's all he wants, is to be glad that he's created. And unfortunately, so this scene has some stuff to unpack because so people have been talking. Oh, that's big spoilers. This right here, this is Endeavor. We don't know. I'm gonna make myself a little bigger because I'm still nervous about copyright. I was like, man, you can see a lot of the chapter here. And Ray is on the floor. Did she fall, or is Endeavor physically abusive? We don't know. And if there's a way that I know and I missed it, that's on me. I apologize. But I looked at this chapter. I don't see anything that ever shows or implies that he is. I mean, implied, yes. But nothing. We don't have any concrete, which kind of bothers me because, like, that's a whole other level from verbal to physical, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Especially from, like, Endeavor. You know what I mean? We see Shoto standing up for his mom. We see this another great panel of Natsuo and Fuyumi just crying in a corner because their parents are screaming at each other. Also, at this point, Toya has left and Endeavor did not follow. Just yeah, so like they're yelling at each other. We see a little glimpse of Toya. He's like, "We didn't go after him," and he was like, "We didn't." He was like, "Originally, I didn't want to throw fuel on his fire, but I realized I just didn't know what to say." And then Ray is like, "Neither did I." So his parents just didn't know how to help him. He ran. He catches on fire. We see current Dobby, like, man, that was hot. And then he's like catching on fire. He's like, I can't stop the flames because he only knows how to go further and not reduce it. And we get this sweet panel, which I'm right in front of, and of him burning up. And then we see the entire mountainside caught on fire. Endeavor's reaction. He's going through the burnt forest. And then Dobby's talking again. He's like, if only I'd given up on that day, he would be different. And then we get to modern times where where briefly he talks about how, like, after that, he's like, I need to perfect Shoto so, like, nothing bad like that happens again. And then it was like the house got worse. He saw him and his other children. They all kind of admit their faults. Like, first of all, I don't really think it's the kid's fault really at all. I mean, they could have been better, I guess, but, like, they were children for most of it. Fuyumi was like, I never felt it was broken, but I just wanted to, all I wanted to do was fix things just to keep appearances and not, like, actually fix them. I thought Natsuo said something. He was like, I didn't do anything. You're the root. He calls out Endeavor. He's like, you're the root cause, but I didn't stand up to you ever. If I punched you in the face, I wonder if, like, that could have changed anything. And then they're like, we're the ones that we need to make sure that you're the one who can help. And they talk about how, like, Shoto is their hero, which is like, you feel like Fuyumi tried a little bit too. I'm gonna be honest. And he's like, he's the one who's gonna, like, actually be a hero, and he can save our family, and, like, you and him together are gonna take down Dobby. And then he yells Shoto, which is pretty funny. And then at the bottom left, we see Hawks and Best Genius are just kind of eavesdropping on their family drama, which is kind of messed up. Also, there's just a picture of Deku here, which doesn't really, I guess, reminds why Todoroki or Shoto is a hero. So, man, dude, this chapter was kind of crazy. This chapter was kind of nuts because it gives a ton of insight into why Dobby did what he did and why he turned out the way that, well, he's obviously mentally damaged. So, another thing I'm going to talk about first. This whole chapter, almost every panel Endeavor is in, he's drawn with this shadow over his face to show that, like, he's in the dark part now. Like, he's the dark of his life where he's been consumed by the shadow of being second to All Might. And it literally ate him alive. It literally ate him alive, and it killed his son. And, you know, I thought that was sweet. Once again, Dobby's been shown to cry. Normally, now he cries like tears of blood, but he has been shown to cry. And Dobby's always had this thing of where he tries to be very in control and, like, appear nonchalant about a lot of things. But now that we know that he could still, like, so there's tons of times where he can have, like, a smile on his face and he's feeling sad because he's doing it in this panel right here that my hat's conveniently covering. He's literally doing it, and we've seen him be happy at times when things are bad, even for him. Twice his death, like when he killed the one hero. So did he actually care about all that? Like, this character got so much deeper with this stuff knowing about him, and there's still stuff we're missing, by the way. We are missing parts of the story because, like, this is the end. This is from our perspective, this is the end of Toya. There's a big mystery question mark. And then we get Dobby at some point. So how did a 13-year-old survive his burnings? They found a jawbone. Whose jawbone was that? You know what I mean? Like, did someone pick him up? Like, did All for One just be happening in the woods? Was the doctor there? Like, there's so many questions about. Like, we almost have all the answers. We're so close to the entire unpacking of Dobby's backstory, but we're still not there yet. Really interesting. Just so cool. This has bumped up Dobby to like such a. I didn't really care. I thought Dobby was kind of a poser for a long time, and I think that was the point. But now that I know all this, I don't think he's like a. Obviously, he's not like a good. Like him and Shigaraki both are not like good characters. But now that we have the reasoning and their development, I want to see if Dobby develops at all after this point. I'd also love to see that because Shigaraki had a very noticeable change in his big arc. He went from like a basically spoiled kid to like a real leader. And I want to know if Dobby goes through anything. Does he feel a connection to the League? That would be great because I love the League and I love their camaraderie that they share. Does he not want to kill people? You know what I mean? Like, bunch of stuff. Like, so much stuff. What's next? What is next? I have no idea. I would love to get the rest of Dobby's story. That'd be freaking great. But we have been away from Deku or Bakugo for like, it feels like a pretty long time. It's only been like 2 chapters, I think. But it's been a while before those characters even been on screen at all. So maybe we're going to go back to hospital shenanigans because we have Best Jeanist and Hawks here. Maybe they're going to talk to Endeavor. You know, because clearly we still need to recover. They're not going to be done anytime soon. Are we finally going to get Vestige, the Vestige world, Midoriya? I don't know. I don't know what we're going to get. But if it's on this caliber of storytelling... Because, like, the biggest thing about this chapter, there's so much in this chapter that made me, like, uncomfortable. Like, just the parents screaming at each other, the kid, like, not, like, his parents being unable to be a parent to Toya, like... Man, Endeavor really... He's almost as much to blame for this as Dobby is at this point. I'm not saying Dobby's a victim. Well, he is. But I'm not saying Dobby shouldn't be held accountable for his actions. He definitely should be. He's killed lots of innocent people. And, like, even having a bad childhood doesn't mean you're going to kill a bunch of people. But it definitely is pretty clear where it came from. And to be fair, he was 13, so he was still pretty young. We still don't know. There's still some stuff we don't know, obviously. And that's just what I'm curious about now. Like, who picked him up? How was he trained with the business guy that, like, I think died in My Villain Academia, if I recall. The businessman? I don't remember his name, but he was the one that brought Dobby and Toga into the League way back when they were just introduced. Either way, that's gonna do it for me. Kept this one also pretty short. I feel like I ramble sometimes, so I'm glad I was able to be to the point. Incredible chapter. I love stuff like this. Super, super good. I'm excited to see what's next. That's it. Also, Ruby should be, if they can manage to get everything working on track, and like the situation down in Texas dies down a little bit. Hopefully Ruby. If not, that's understandable. But if there is Ruby, you'll see a video from me Saturday or Sunday, depending. And otherwise, a couple days after that, we'll have another My Hero for you. Yeah, so anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. I greatly appreciate it, and I'll see all of you next time. Peace.